Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James McCombs, and joined with me in the booth tonight is the one and only Koala. How are you doing tonight, my man?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
Doing alright, can't complain, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to yet another week of Valor Racing League action here in the Pocono Raceway Cup Series as we get ready to head to Watkins Glen International for the Big Apple 175. How excited are you, Koala, for the first road racing action that we get to see all season long?
I'm pretty excited. It's going to be pretty entertaining based off how these guys have raced in the past couple of weeks here. It's going to be pretty wild to see how they all go into this first turn and see who can carry the momentum and stay out front throughout the majority of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a momentum-based race. These guys are going to have to go off of what they know. The setups that they've built are going to be very key for this race because these guys all are going to be building very different setups with weight distribution and tire pressure and all these things that I can barely even understand. You probably know a
I
lot more
agree.
about it than I do.
I mean, I know a little bit more. I'm still learning as of now, but I mean, yeah, basically, track bar must be, you got to be really good. I mean, you just don't want to be loose overall because you got to brake, and braking, as we all know, braking can cause you to spin out because your car is loose. So you want to make sure it's the right comfortable fit. You kind of want to be 50-50, but it's kind of hard to hit 50-50 at this track. So
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you that, especially with a lot of these different rumble strips that are coming off the corners and running through the corners. These guys, I've seen a lot of their practice sessions. Very tough time getting on those rumble strips and keeping the car from being able to spin out. So that'll be something interesting to see as the race goes on throughout the night. Alrighty, so as we get ready for tonight's event here at Watkins Glen International, taking a look at the race analysis, 45 laps, going 110.43 miles in tonight's race. Very specific here for a very specific racetrack. These guys can go 20 to 23 laps on their tires depending on how they drive the car into corners and how they brake, but they can only make it 17 to 20 laps on fuel depending on how much they're able to conserve, and that's going to be a big factor in tonight's event.
yes, it is.
Also taking a look at a couple of the track facts here for Watkins Glen, 2.454 miles is the length of this one and only road course in the woods of New York. 8 total turns on this tricky road course, opened back in 1956 as asphalt surface was last repaved in 2015, so still relatively fresh, a lot of grip and speed to be had on these very, very tight and twisty S's and curves here at Watkins Glen International. What are you looking for tonight, Koala, that's going to make the difference for these guys and how they're going to be able to get out front when it matters most late in the race to try and score a win?
Just incidents. These guys got to keep the incidents to a minimum, especially if there's guys in the back that want to get to the front. I mean, it's not a long shot. It's a hard race. It's a long race actually for a road course, and there's a lot of tricky turns. These guys got to figure out how to get through these turns without wrecking each other, trying to get to the front. My main concern would be probably the bus stop because that's just the area right there. It's hard. It's under braking. You're coming in very fast, but also turn 1 into at least 3 and 4. That's also tricky. So the track's got a lot of twists and turns, and 10 and 11 are just as tricky too. So you never know with these guys. These guys are going to they're very good drivers here. So see what happens.
Absolutely, a very characteristic racetrack indeed. So let's take a look at the starting order for tonight's event as we're going to go live at Green Flag Racing in just a couple of minutes. Max Boost is going to be starting on the pole in the number 77 Advent Health Chevy Camaro, and outside of him is Cola Motorsports, the winner of the last 2 races here in the Pocono Raceway Cup Series. Mike RPM takes third in that number 4 Ford Mustang, with Slade G84 in the number 38 machine on the outside of row 2. Killing It Like Jason has taken the 14 in 5th position for tonight's race, with Titans in 6th in the number 8. Perky is in 7th in the 21 with McLovin Racing in the 00 in 8th. Baron 8 in the number 6 machine starts in 9th, with Brennan starting in 10th on the outside of row 5. Jose 720 in the 78 is in 11th position, and Coach Matt in the number 43, someone to look out for tonight. He taught me everything that I ever got the chance to know about Watkins Glen International. He starts this one in 12th. Take away the second half of the starting order there, my man.
All right, we got row 7 with Cyber, and then we got Runner in the 16 and 48. The 9 car and the 2 car are being row 8. We got row 9. We got NASCAR Extreme with Diesel. Rob, I don't really know what the last part is, but we're going to say Diesel, 17th and 18th. We got K-Tat in 19th with Mo Powell in 20th. The 10 car and the 22 are going to be rounding out row 11. Row 12 has got the 42 and Bags and the 1 car teammates there. And we got row 13 is the 12 car and the 18 of Who Dat Saint, sorry, and DK Brown. My screen's a little cracked, so it's hard for me to see these names. And that'll round out your starting grid, guys.
Absolutely, all good, my man. And someone to look at tonight, someone who's sitting really high up in the point standings but did not qualify well. The number 9 of Big Destroyer in his Hendrick Motorsports Chevy Camaro. He is starting way back in 15th, currently sitting, I believe, 3rd in the point standings at the moment, the highest guy in the point standings without a win. But we'll see whether that little bit of a cushion that he has on some of the rest of these guys in the points starts to take a dent as a result of tonight's qualifying position, and seeing whether he'll be able to get up towards the front of the field. Be something interesting to see and someone to follow as the race goes along.
It definitely is. It's going to be very interesting to watch him come through the field.
Guala, I want to know, do you have anyone that not a lot of people know about that might be really, really good here at Watkins Glen that's going to make their name known tonight?
I'm going to have to, I don't know. I don't really have anybody that... They're all good. I mean, I don't really see anybody that could shock us out of nowhere. I'd say Cyber. I think Cyber might have... I mean, he's not... I've seen him race a couple times. I think he might have something up his sleeve today. He might have something pull through and get up towards the front. But, I mean, the guy I was really going with is Coach Matt. I don't really know Coach Matt like this, but something about him, I think he can get to the front and race pretty well.
All right, absolutely. The record holder for a single lap time in NASCAR Heat 4, Coach Matt, starting 12th tonight in the number 43. He's going to be my pick, not only to be a shocker for tonight's race, but also to win. So just wanted to put that out there ahead of the race. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so with that, in just a moment, we are getting ready to go green flag racing here at Watkins Glen International, the Big Apple 175. Green flag racing, when we come back, we will be back in just a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from the looks of it, we are ready to go green flag racing here in the Big Apple, here in New York at Watkins Glen International. It's going to be a great one that we've got on tap for you tonight as we get ready for the green flag. Any last-minute things that you're looking for that could be a key to victory in tonight's race, Koala?
Strategy. I'm thinking strategy might play a role. As we all know, Watkins Glen can be strategy, and it sometimes cannot be strategy. So, I'm thinking strategy.
All right, I like your take on that right away. I'm presuming that there might be a few more cautions on the racetrack than what a lot of people might expect out of these guys because of a lot of the commotion that we see in the bus stop and in turn 1. So I'm expecting this race to come down to track position at the end of a run because, as we all know, at road courses, you tend to not have to worry about tires as much as you do at some other places. So that can be a big deal here tonight.
Right.
Alright, taking a look at the field and some of the paint schemes that we've got out there tonight. A couple of the all-star schemes that we saw from earlier on in the year, including the number 21 machine. He is running in a beautiful Menard scheme tonight along with FYP. Also on the hood, looking at Houdat Saints and his Ford Mustang, got the Paul Menard throwback scheme in his Maytag Ford Mustang. A lot of guys trying to show off some of their stuff tonight, and I absolutely love to see all the new paint schemes that come out from NASCAR Heat 5 onto the track every week.
Paint schemes are awesome. I love them.
And here we also see Big Destroyer and the number 9 Universe Chevy Camaro running the All-Star scheme that Chase Elliott won with back at Bristol. We're going to see whether he can take that car to victory lane from his 15th place starting spot as we get ready here tonight for the Big Apple 175.
Everyone's getting lined up here.
Looks like everyone is getting into position. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do and also where they're going to be lining up from, because we see some of these guys deciding that they might want to have that inside line at the beginning of a run, but it may not turn out that way for them. It very well may be that these guys get stuck on that outside lane in the first corner and try to make their way to the inside, and so it's very, very tough to tell.
Your green flag.
It certainly does look like it. Everyone breaks into corner number 1. It looks like the number 21 machine is going to be the one that gets the short end of the stick right away, gets pushed all the way up to the outside of the racetrack. As we focus in on Cyber K Bionic heading into corner number 1, making a couple of passes and trying to snake his way through the S's along with the rest of the field.
Number 77 takes off in the lead.
Indeed, that is Max Boost, the man who has been able to do so well early on in the season, and no problems already for the number 4 machine. Mike RPM, one of the men that was falling off the track early on. Looks like we may have a couple more in the rear end with damage, including MJO 1803 and the number 2, the 12 and the 42, or excuse me, the 18 and the 42 both have damage as well. Coming out of turn number 4, you can see Max Boost 27 already out front trying to take advantage of that pole position, and he has put a little bit of an early lead on Colo Motorsports. We'll see if he can maintain that lead as this long run starts to drag on here at Watkins Glen.
Meanwhile, in third, Slade makes his appearance.
Yeah, you can see he's been able to hold on right now, at least early on in the run, showing the short run strength in his custom setup. These guys all driving something a little bit different tonight, I'd imagine. No one sharing setups with each other, wanting to have that competitive edge.
Exactly. This makes everybody different tonight. Everything's a little bit different for everybody.
Absolutely. These guys right now rolling off of the carousel corner, going to be an important spot tonight. You can see Max Boost driving all the way out into the excess asphalt coming off of that corner. Meanwhile, others deciding that they just want to get to the curbing. Definitely going to be interesting to see how these guys drive coming out of that corner tonight, whether it actually changes anything on the grip level of these cars or the speed of the lap times over the course of a long run. Heading back down into corner number 1, Max Boost once again going through that corner. You can see him going over the rumble strips coming out of corner number 1, as do most people. But what makes that corner different from every other corner on the track here, Koala? Obviously very unique.
It's a right-hander. It's a straight right-hander, and it's downhill, and it's got a slight banking in it. That's where most people got a slight curve into it when you go into there. So you gotta have your brake. You gotta have the braking points down just on point. Hit the inside curbing and just come off. You can or can't. I choose not to go across the curbs, but if you hit either or, I think most people like to be under the curb. So if you get around underneath them, you're good. You're golden. You can go ahead and hit in the turn too. But if you end up going in there too hot, you're going to overcheck. You're going to definitely go over those ripple strips there. So
Yeah, I've always found myself whenever I'm driving here tending not to go over those rumble strips too much because they normally can cause the rear end of the car to kick out slightly, and that can cause a loss of grip coming out of the corner and trying to get back to the acceleration. But not everyone feels that way about those rumble strips, and so they decide to go over them. And these guys up front showing that their cars can handle it.
exactly, it's the 20. Cola is closing in on Max Boost here.
He's definitely showing off some speed, maybe doing a little bit more right now, figuring out what Max Boost isn't doing well up in front of him and taking advantage in those areas. Really putting some pressure now on the rear bumper of that Chevy Camaro, showing him what he can do. Making their way back down into the carousel.
So
Yeah, absolutely. These guys running very smooth through there. They don't want to put too much of the gas into the race car right away going through the carousel, because if they do, they could risk running wide on that banked corner and fall into the excess banking that goes in the opposite direction coming off the corner. So very crucial, especially whenever it comes to lap times here at Watkins Glen.
riding on board Cola, he's looking very smooth in his turns here.
It looks like
Seems to be a little bit faster in turn one than the 77 is.
Yeah, absolutely. He is putting on a ton of pressure and showing right now that he's got what it takes to just get right onto the 77's rear bumper. Not making any contact, though, showing that he still understands where the 77's braking points are and that he can race just as cleanly in second as he'll be able to on his own.
He's smooth through the bus stop yet again. He's faster. That's his fastest point right there. He closes in big time.
You can see the 77 drifting out into that excess asphalt like we talked about before. It gets a little bit of a boost coming off the corner, might make a little bit of a difference, and Cola's deciding not to run it, but closing in a lot of other areas on the racetrack, and that could play a huge role later on in the run. Headed back down the front straightaway now. Cola on board with him, running in second, trying to get a little bit of a dive in on the 77 of Max Boost in first as they come off.
11 is going to hit the pit road.
Ooh, coming into pit road early. Pit strategy already becoming a factor in this race, something I wasn't quite expecting as early as lap 4 or 5, but we're getting it here. Take a little bit of a look here. He started this one in 8th position, so he definitely had a good starting spot, and it didn't look like he had any issues early on in the run. So maybe this is his first of 2 pit stops, not anticipating any cautions in this one, and maybe deciding to pit early to try and get one of his 2 pit stops out of the way.
Maybe so. Could be strategy here.
Very well could be. Looks like the number 43 of Coach Matt unfortunately had issues in the bus stop. He got caught right in the middle of the bus stop, getting pushed up onto the straight area, and unfortunately that caused him a course penalty, and now that puts him back behind Bags 475 in the number 1 machine, all the way back around 18th to 20th.
Off pit road. And the wall coming off pit road there lost a bunch of spots, lost a bunch more time than what he already lost.
Oof, and you don't like to see that. Very unfortunate, but oh, and it looks like Brennan almost lost the race car going through the S's as well in his number 95 machine. But yeah, definitely some damage on the front end of that 00 machine of McLovin after he came out of pit lane, and I'm sure that is going to set him back quite a bit and likely ruin his pit strategy game that he was trying to play a little bit earlier on here after coming in.
I'm starting to see some guys get loose. We got cars around in a bus stop.
It looks like that was the number 6 of Baronade who came around, and also the 22 machine came around in the middle of the S's. Runner Rhodes is barely able to get by in his number 48 Ally Bank Chevy, but some other guys not so lucky here on this lap. Maybe a caution gets called at the line, unsure yet.
These guys are very loose. I can see these cars sliding everywhere.
It looks like a problem for Cola Motorsports in the number 20 machine. He has now fallen back big time behind the number 95 of BBS Brennan 20 as they make their way back into corner number 1. The 95 Ream machine now sits ahead of Cola Motorsports, and it looks like Slade in the number 38 machine is now taking second place away as we continue to work this first long run here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, Colo doesn't look to be doing too hot right now.
Unfortunate to see, but indeed he does not seem to be doing too well. Taking a look in the middle of the pack here, Jose 720 and his number 78, trying to run with a couple of these guys ahead of him, the number 18 machine along with the number 4 of Mike RPM, all in a battle for position through the S's as they go nearly side by side, making their way through the S's.
Here comes to this heavy braking zone here. He's out braking who?
Looks like the 18 got a big jump on the rest of this group heading into the bus stop, and he's able to hold on to that position as well. Gains a couple of tenths making his way through the corner, and now as they come out of the carousel, looks like he might be in good position not only to finish the pass on Mike, but to be able to run away with that position as well.
18 got a heck of a boost right there. Took off from these guys.
Able to make his way now into these last two corners, far ahead of the rest of the group. And it looks like a caution flag has flown here for the first time today at Watkins Glen. And these guys were already running a little ways apart from each other, so we'll get the field all bunched back up. Everyone going to come in and make repairs, I'm sure, on their damaged race cars and get right back out to green flag racing.
See what kind of calls we're going to get here.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what these guys do. Most of them, I'm sure, are going to be taking 4 tires and 2 cans, but someone might decide to go a little bit of a different route if pit strategy calls for it, and they want to get out front and head of the number 77 of Max Boost 27, who so far has been nearly dominant, other than Cola putting some pressure on him early on in the race.
Pure domination, 77. We're coming back to green.
It looks like leading the field back to green is the number 9 machine. Someone new that we haven't seen yet in this race that we talked about pre-race as they make their way into corner number 1. And he goes off into the grass.
It wide. That's what I was talking about right there. You gotta have your braking down.
It looks like he didn't, and that's going to be a huge problem for him. He lets the entire field go by.
His cars are everywhere. It's hitting everybody. Cars going through the grass.
Yeah, these guys having a lot of trouble controlling these right now, and Max Boost, shot out of a cannon, makes his way back into the bus stop ahead of the entire rest of the field, and a car flipping.
Oh, we got 10 car around. 4 car around.
Quite a few cars went around in that wreck. A couple of guys all the way into the grass. Mike RPM.
That Saint had to stop right there. Costly for him as well.
Unfortunate to see, indeed. He has trouble now. The
Oh,
number
22.
4. Ooh, Jocko. And the number 4 of Mike RPM wrecking in the middle of the carousel. Unfortunate to see.
Guys are going around everywhere.
I'm sure that was not the restart they were hoping for. As we look back now onto the front straightaway, a 3-wide battle for position between the 21, the 43, and the 2 as they head off into corner number 1, and a couple of these guys shooting this corner wide.
They are right there. Guys are everywhere.
Cola Motorsports
trying to get track position.
Cola Motorsports went wide there in the middle of that first corner, lost a ton of time after showing so much strength early on. It looks like he might have an issue now, as it looks like these guys are slowing down, and the caution flag might have come out.
That was not the restart I think any of these guys were looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like some more wrecks as a couple of these guys now in the rear end have damage in front of Jocko and Mike RPM, such as Jose 720 and the number 12 machine along with the 9. A lot of these guys now dealing with damage, as it looks like it might be just a section of the track that is currently under caution. Very well might be, but we'll look to see. And now it does look like everyone is under caution. Everyone following Max Boost in the 77 back down here towards pit lane as they make their way through the last two corners. We'll look to see who decides to make their way onto pit lane here.
I see some guys stay out.
I do think we might, and it might depend on what these guys want to do with fuel strategy, but a lot of guys will still come in this time.
Some guys stay out. We got,
looks like
further back we got guys coming in.
Yeah, looks like the number 6 machine is in. K-Taddy Giggity in the 37, the 18 of DK Brown is in. Few others also making their way down pit lane, but the vast majority deciding to stay out on the racetrack, either just to stay out in front and hold on to their track position or pick up a little bit as well.
Dude, this benefits these guys on here on pit road now.
Absolutely. So, for the first 4 or 5 laps of this race, we went green flag racing, no issues, and I was expecting that we weren't going to have any problems, that this race was going to go mostly green flag and we'd see more strategy, but now that we've had 2 cautions already in this race, Koala, I want to know, do you think that strategy might be a little bit less important and now track position is going to be the name of the game?
That depends on how many more cautions they get. I mean, it could be the name of the game right now. I feel like guys are thinking that's what's going to happen. And I think based off of how they're thinking that will probably actually be a thing now. They're just focused on trying to get to the front so fast. And now when they get up there, they're seeing cautions, precautions. And they're like, well, I want to stay up front. So I'm just going to, throw out my strategy out the window. I'm going to do whatever I can to stay up front now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I like your thinking there. Definitely not something I would have thought of. As a driver in the rear, I'd normally think to be able to get fresh tires and fuel, be ahead of the rest of the group by a couple of laps, and maybe make a savvy pit call later on to stay out. But definitely, I like that idea as well, being able to stay out now if track position becomes more of a big deal.
You gotta have a plan B for your plan A. The plan A is still an option. It's still out on the table, but you gotta have a plan B as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some of these guys in tonight's race, as we go back green flag racing, it might even get down to plan Z. Here we go. Max Boost leads this group back down to green.
Slade on the outside.
He got a
going
big
through turn 1.
Ooh, very, very tight once again. Brennan shoots the corner a little bit wide. Other guys making their way through without too much of an issue. And they go single file now as they head into the S's.
The 95 of Brennan now in the 3rd.
As you can see, he was able to make a nice move on Cyber going into the first corner, and now he's going to try and hold on to that 3rd spot. Here comes Coach Matt trying to make a pass low into the bus stop, and a lot of these guys clipping the grass, dirt flying everywhere as they make their way into the carousel.
38 of Slade's right there on the 77, trying to give him some pressure here.
We'll see whether he can force him to make a mistake as they head into these last couple of corners.
Further back, seems guys are stringing out, getting single file here.
Looks like we might be set up for another long green flag run as Slade just taps that safer barrier a tiny bit coming out of the final corner. He's going to lose some ground to Max Boost on the front stretch. Down into the S's they go, and it looks like Brennan now is the one catching up as he starts to catch up to the number 38 machine, running a little wide in the S's and trying to gain just a little bit of time on the guys in front of him, try to maybe even reel in the leader because he knows this might be his best shot of the year to be able to get up there and play spoiler and score a victory here in the Pocono Raceway Cup Series.
Slade looks to be a little tight. He's still trying to hang in there at 77, but he looks a little tighter than I think he wants to be.
Yeah, you see it there through the carousel, running that higher line, running about the middle. It seemed like he wasn't able to get back to the gas like he wanted to either, falling away from the 77 bit by bit as we continue to move along on these 1 minute 5 second lap pace. Oh, and it looks like some problems in about 4th and 5th. The number 88 machine of Mopowa Celtics was running in 4th position, but he went way wide in the second to last corner on the last lap, and unfortunately he fell back a couple of spots, and now there's a big group of guys. 19 car, there you go. Indeed, he did spin around, and now he's going to get passed by a lot of the rest of the field as they start to make their way back up through the S's once again.
Guys looking to be sliding yet again. I don't know, man.
Definitely doesn't seem to be much of a race of grip as these guys are heading through the corners very, very differently, getting on one another, not being able to hold some of these corners, and the 19 again having issues in the middle of the pack here. Goes up onto that outside in the carousel, and he is continuing to lose spot by spot. Back up front, it's the number 77 of Max Boost, still holding on to the lead. Just about the same amount that he was earlier over the number 38 machine of Slade. As they continue to move along here out of corner number 1. Slade not quite able to reel in Max Boost any, but it doesn't look like he's losing much ground to him either. We'll see how that progresses as the long run continues to move on.
Slade's running a different groove. He's trying to find something different here.
Might be deciding to search for a little bit of grip on the racetrack. I know that that is definitely something that these guys are looking for, trying to accentuate on the guy in front of them and their mistakes. Have you been in a position like this before where you've had to try and run down the leader with a car that you didn't necessarily love, but you had to work with it to try and get back up to the guy in front?
Yeah. Did I win it? No. Did I almost catch him? Yeah. But, I mean, it's really about how your car feels at the beginning. If I know this is going to be a long run and my car is already getting a little loose, I should probably back off a lot earlier than I normally would, so I can last longer in my car out front. That way I can at least get, if not try to catch them, but try to maintain the position I'm in. Usually I just serve and just maintain. I usually can't catch them because I'm bad at saving tires sometimes. So
I totally understand that. I always seem to burn up either the right front or the right rear at any given racetrack. Can never seem to get that nice tire management, but these guys have been able to perfect it not only with their driving but also with their setups. Something interesting that we really haven't talked about too much. Some of these guys deciding to do a lot of different stuff with their setups, and I know you know a little bit about it. I don't know too much about it. I tend to build my own, and they don't tend to be that great very often. So what do you know about setups that these guys did here at Watkins Glen that differs from, say, any regular old mile-and-a-half track?
well, you want your car to be balanced. So, most tracks you gotta have a lot of front weight. You gotta have a lot of, down springs in the back down. You want to be as low as possible. But on this track, you kind of want a mixture of everything. You want to be like 50-50 of just about everything. You want to be a little bit tight, but a little loose. You want to be tight in the turns because you don't want to spin out when you get on the brake, but you want to be loose enough to where you can turn it back and come off the turn. You want to have the speed going down the straightaway. So you work with your gearboxes there. You work with a lot of things here. Track bar, cambers. Cambers is a huge thing as well. If your cambers aren't set right, your car won't turn properly. It's a lot of things that go into this, and these guys are better than me, of course. So they put way more time, and they know what they're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it looks like we have a wreck in the middle of the bus stop. BBS Brennan
It's
running
95.
Yeah, he was in the middle of trying to get into the bus stop, clipped the guardrail heading into the bus stop. Now has huge front end damage on that race car, and also got caught in the middle of the bus stop on that straightaway.
Diesel drivers look to be struggling here today.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like a lot of problems for him. Probably going to be making his way to pit road this time around if he chooses to, because of all that aero damage and possibly even engine damage on the front end of that machine. You hate to see it as he goes wide and almost clips the grass. That car is in bad shape now.
This looks like we have a caution or the NDV stage. In the stage.
It looks like the stage comes to an end as these guys cross the start-finish line, and some of these other guys slowing down already before the stage even comes to an end. A lot of guys in the back here that I was not expecting to run back here. K-Taddy Giggity, DK Brown, Jose 720, Big Destroyer, Mike RPM. Some big names running further in the back of the field than I expected. This is definitely going to be an interesting finish here once we get around to it in the long run.
And this again could be strategy. We never know. We really don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I didn't even think about. Strategy can be a huge deal here in stage number 3, because in the longest stage of the race, these guys are focused on how their cars are going to handle in the long run if we don't get one of those cautions. So you bring up a very, very good point there.
Coming back to the restart here, we got Two new leaders, a 21 and a 4 in the front row now. Max Boots is back to third with Slade in fourth as coming back to the restart.
Yeah, and we also see the number 10 machine, who we haven't talked about much at all today, currently running in the 5th position in his Smithfield Bacon for America scheme. That is Birdster, who we haven't seen a whole lot of since week 1 at Auto Club. Oh.
Double zero. Around, we got a big one on the going into the S's.
It looks like a couple of cars involved. The 1, the 78, the 48, the 22, and the 9 all have some serious damage on their machines, and I believe that we're going to have a caution when we get back around to the start-finish line, possibly. These guys up front already duking it out for position once again as we move through the field.
Perky up front right now, guys. Showcase of the speed. He's been up front all day, but he's got track position. Track position's key as the 4 cars are still in second as well. Both of them straight out in track position.
Mike RPM showing his stuff as well in his beautiful number 4 machine as they make their way through the last couple of corners here. We don't know whether they're coming to the caution flag or not, so something to look out for as we have a 3-wide battle for position for about 5th on back as they make their way across the start-finish line.
Seems to be no caution.
Doesn't look like there is, but one thing that did change is second position. Max Boost able to get by Mike RPM in the 4 machine, and now has his sights set on Perky up front, who just took the S's way wide.
There's a caution now.
Oh, and it looks like the caution flag has indeed flown at the moment. That is going to put Mike RPM back in second position in front of Max Boost, which I was not expecting.
Getting interesting.
Yeah, definitely. That move right there by Perky and the number 4 of Mike RPM showed that track position can be very important, and now everyone has to make a decision on what they're going to do heading onto pit road, and these guys might have to make everyone else think just a little bit differently about what they want to do as the race goes along.
Come on, Bob. We're going to be under 20 to go here.
Yeah, it looks like it. We are going to have less laps to go than I expected as these cautions have continued to eat away at just a couple of laps throughout the race, making these green flag runs shorter. I know we talked a little bit earlier about setups. The one thing that I noticed after you talked about everything such as camber and track bar and front weight, all these very huge whenever it comes to being able to have the car turn up front. The one thing that I noticed that a lot of people did not talk about, and I noticed that a lot of guys didn't focus on in their setups, was the rear sway bar. I actually found out that not having a rear sway bar allows the rear end of the car to help turn the rest of the car very, very well through these corners, and it can cut down your lap time significantly.
It definitely does. It changes up a lot. I ran with it on, I ran with it off, and it's a huge difference. Your car is used to going on an oval, it's used to going to a turn, but it's not used to turning at that sharp pace. Left, right, back and forth continuously. Now, without the rear sway bar, you can do that and not spin out or maintain your line. It's a lot easier without having one on there.
Absolutely. Maintaining your line is a ton easier, but one thing that I did notice is it also makes that car a little bit more free in the rear end, and that can cause, if you go over a rumble strip the wrong way or something like that, a lot less room for error, because all of a sudden you could have no grip in those rear tires in just a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's happened to me before, actually, and that all goes back to now it goes back to what wedge you put on your car, and how does your front track bar, how's your left and right track bar look? It's got to be balanced. You got to balance it out. You got to work with it, and these guys definitely, especially I know Max Boost and Def and Slade probably took their time, put the time in, and tried to master this shit down.
Yeah, absolutely, and those setups so important. I talked a little bit earlier, Coach Matt, one of the guys that first helped me to build a setup here at Watkins Glen, he showed me that rear sway bar being gone and just how much of a difference it makes in the turning, and man, it just shows the amount of work that these guys put into custom setups to make their cars that much faster and tailor them to their driving styles too.
Yep. Guys put in the work. They want to race. They want to race fun. They want to have a fun race. But they want to do it by saying, hey, I had the better setup, or I'm the better driver. They want to do that. They want to have that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys, very, very competitive, even in real life, although afterwards they tend to joke about it a lot more. as we get ready to go back green flag racing. It's Max Boost, this time taking the inside line as we go back to the green flag here at Watkins Glen International. Take it away, Koala.
As we go back into turn one here, looks to me like the 77 is going to get the edge on the 38. 38 actually still on the outside, heading up into the S's here. 38 now to the lead. It's Slade in the lead.
He was able to pinch Max Boost down there in the beginning of the S's, and that caused him to have to let off the throttle, let up just a little bit. And now, Cola Motorsports, after his accident earlier, back in third and back to putting pressure on the 77 Camaro.
Oh, we got guys off the track here.
Indeed, it looks like a couple of guys made their way off the track in the bus stop. A lot of these guys able to continue on, though, without too much of an issue. A lot of these guys...
77's putting on that pressure. 20 cars also there. It's getting racy.
This is getting great up front. The Craftsman number 20 Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. Cola Motorsports doing everything he can right now to keep the 77 from having a shot of being able to get back up to Slade and take the lead back away. He does not want to see another runaway Camaro up front.
Cola looking for a three-peat. Let's not forget about that either. He won 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, absolutely. He was able to take the win last week and the week before that at Atlanta, back at the Peach State 250 with a beautiful move. So we'll look to see what he can do here. Maybe making another beautiful move from third position late in the event to try and snag a win away from the rest of his competitors.
I think Slade's line can work now that he's in the lead. If he can hold it, he's getting into the bus stop a little wild there. 77 closed in a little. 20 closed in on the 77. These guys are racing.
Pushing the limits of what their cars can do just a little bit as they make their way through the corners, almost bouncing off of one another. Then they're side by side heading into the last couple of corners. Who is going to get the advantage coming out of turn number 8?
77 tried to go high on the 38 there. Slade wasn't having it. Slade's running that middle groove, and it's actually working, able to hold off the 77. I think he's getting impatient, though. He's going to turn one side by side.
Does Max Boost outbreak him heading into the corner? Who's going to get the advantage? It looks like the 38 is going to get a little bit more of the exit off, but will he be able to hold on as they continue to battle for the lead into the S's?
Yes, he does. Pulls away, gets ahead again in the S's. Seems to be his strong point. That's twice now.
Absolutely, the 38 holding on with that Ford horsepower under the hood. Will there be an issue with braking heading into the bus stop?
Get through there cleanly.
And everyone is able to. And it looks like now with all this battling going on up front, here comes the number 88 Chevy goods machine of Mo Power Celtics for Hendrick Motorsports and his Chevy Camaro, trying to make things interesting for third position as he closes in on Cola Motorsports.
Shaking it up. Brennan's still in 5th place now as well. If we get a late caution, these guys could shake it up here, especially keeping that 77 out of the lead.
It's going to be a very, very important thing and something these guys can't lose sight of. That 77 cannot be out front if they want a shot at being able to take home the win and take it away from someone who's already won this year. So he was able to take home the win earlier this year at Dover.
38 starting to get away from the 77 a little bit.
Seems like just a tiny bit he might be pulling away. 77 still trying to close that gap in these corners by getting great acceleration off, and he's doing so, and Cola keeping pace with him as well. But it all hinges right here on this bus stop, and there the 38 got the advantage that time through.
Just want to point out that the league, Diesel Motorsports here, these guys all kind of came back a little bit. They had all issues a little bit, and they're maintaining, getting back into the top 6 here.
Yeah, we saw that with Cola, with Brennan, and with Diesel Rothgib. And all these guys have now made their way back up towards the front of the field, showing their resiliency and their ability to come back from some problems and be able to get back up and compete for points, even if they can't be up there battling for the lead. As Max Boost still putting pressure on Slade. When is he going to make his move?
Max Boost, he's trying to get Slade to make a mistake. But the line Slade's running here. Ooh, Slade got into the rail there. Mistake made. So yeah.
There you go. The slide is going to scrub off some speed from the 38, but they're side by side heading down the back chute and into the bus stop. Who's going to take the lead? Here comes Cola on the inside of the 38 as well. Max Boost slides high a little bit in the middle of the carousel corner. Will he get the run off and take the lead away? He does.
77 back to the lead.
And a beautiful move without even having to touch the number 38 machine. Max Boost takes the lead away, but right now Slade is not going to be one to let that one go easily.
Looked like he was about to send it in there. Thought he was going to do it as the 77 took him in a little too high.
He made a mistake indeed. He was able to get into the safer barrier off the corner instead of the guardrail, but that cost him big time, and it cost Cola Motorsports too. Got into the rear bumper. He'll have some front damage and now sits in fourth as Mopowa Celtics is going to take over third position.
Guys coming out of nowhere, getting to the front. 88 and the 20 making contact through the S's.
We saw the 88 get in the guardrail there, and that's going to allow Cola to get back up in front of him. Granted, he's got a lot of work to do to get back up to the bumper of the 77 where he was just a few laps ago.
Meanwhile, 77 is starting to close in on the 38 again. Seems even every time he has an issue, he can reel him in, but can he cast him yet again?
It's going to be tough, especially because he used one of his few good moves that you have here at a road course to be able to get around someone. You normally have kind of that set number of moves that you can make on someone in certain corners, and once they see it, they know how to defend it, and so it can be very tough. We'll look to see what the 77 has up his sleeve and whether Max Boost is going to be able to get back out here and try and snag the victory away from the number 38 of Slade as they come out of corner number 1.
77 closing in. Whew. 38 trying to hold him off here though. Slade's looking very good.
Absolutely, he's got a strong Ford Mustang. I believe Max Boost might have a little bit of the faster car, but it's very tough to tell whenever he's not running out front. It seems like he's having more trouble running in second than he ever did running out in the lead. And now it looks like Cola, despite all the front end damage on that race car, starting to reel in Max Boost again. Might be putting up the fastest laps on the racetrack at the moment.
77 swung it wide here, trying to chase down that 38 car. I think Slade might be getting an edge here.
Looks like that long run tightness that we saw in the short run is going to start to kick in a little bit here. Now he's going to have some of that grip in the corner, and especially coming out of the corner to get back to the throttle that Max Boost might not have, and that could cause the 38 to be able to just inch away from Max Boost lap after lap, and I'm sure that might be painful for the 77.
So 95, but Brendan hits the pit road. Just got 14 to go here.
And it looks like that is going to be his final stop of the race. Everyone going to have to make one more stop, as we've already been green flag racing for about 8 laps. I wrote down earlier that your fuel window, you can only make it to 20 laps, and that is if you sit in 4th gear, run those high 106, low 107 laps, and try your very best to hold on to that race car. You can make it about 23 laps on tires doing so, but only 20 laps on fuel means you're not going to be able to make it conserving fuel here. So everyone's going to have to head to pit road eventually, and that could change quite a bit here in this race, as strategy, like you said earlier, is now going to play a crucial role in the finish of the Big Apple 175 here at Watkins Glen International.
Late race cautions could be a thing too, as these guys do get on these pit stops here. Cautions can't come out.
Absolutely, and that could mean that the guys that just did hit pit road will not have to come back to pit lane if they don't have any issues under the green flag, and that can be huge for them, being able to stay on the lead lap with some fresher tires and be able to get out front when it matters most, right at the end of the race.
These guys are battling hard. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's been very, very close between these three all day long. And I know we haven't showed too much outside of the lead tonight, but it hasn't seemed like there's been any better racing on the racetrack than right up here out front for the lead. It's been a battle for the last 7 or 8 laps as Max Boost reels in the 38 before Slade pulls away from the 77 over and over again. Will he finally be able to get another move here in the next and get another shot at getting by the 38 of Slade?
Things going in fruition here. Coming off its final turn. Coming to the start and finish line here. Laps are ticking.
Indeed they are. Now on lap 37 of 47. We are going to have just a few more laps.
Oh,
Oh, no, it looks like...
37 car was in the wall there.
Indeed. K-Taddy Giggity, the number 37, goes a lap down, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh, you
car
see...
looked a little too wide there.
Absolutely, that car's starting to look tight. You can see the aero damage on that number 20 really starting to take effect a little bit as the tightness in that race car is showing up also in the carousels. You see him entering a lot higher before rotating through the corner.
Way higher.
Down the back straightaway now, the 38 trying to hold on, but here comes Max Boost.
Max Boost. Oh! Played into the wall.
You see Slade got hard into the outside wall, and he is coming to pit road this time by to get it repaired, and hopefully he can fix that at a later date. But man, that was a hard lick into the outside wall. Might have gotten loose. Ooh, couldn't imagine being in his situation right there. I mean, having the lead, holding off Max Boost just barely, and now Max Boost gets to run free for laps after laps with no one in front of him. His lap times are bound to improve now.
Well, can the 20 reel him in? We seen the 20 kind of catch him earlier. Can he do it again now?
Yeah, absolutely. We know Cola was at least running at the same pace that Slade was running because he was catching the 77 on the 38's rear bumper, but now Cola running all by his lonesome trying to catch the 77 might be a more difficult task, especially with all that front end damage from the incident we had earlier on coming out of the final corner. As they also close in on the 43 of Coach Matt coming out of the last corner.
Coach Matt looks to be struggling today as well.
Unfortunate to see from a guy who hails himself as a road course ringer and has shown it too in the past. Like we talked about earlier, a former record holder of some of the fastest records for Watkins Glen on NASCAR Heat 4. Unfortunately not able to show what he can do today after it looks like just a beat up front end of that race car might have done him in.
Got some guys hitting pit road. 9 cars, 16 are on pit road.
Cyber K Bionic and Big Destroyer both doing everything they can, maybe pitting on the in-between here between when these guys are supposed to be able to make it on fuel and tires compared to when they actually do. And that could be big for these guys because you never really know when they're going to come to pit road because these guys can pull strategies like that, such as splitting stages in certain areas or being able to split runs. And it looks like right now something else that's closing is the number 20 and the 77's gap.
He is. He's closing up on him. As they're going to pit road here.
And Cola going to try to make it to pit road right now. Might be able to if he gets lucky with that pit stop timing. Be able to come out ahead of the 77 of Max Boost when all is said and done. But right now, currently, just a few laps remaining in this one. Less than 10 laps to go. Everyone either already in for their final stops, such as the number 2 that we see right in front of Max Boost, or in the situation of Max Boost, the guy who still has yet to make his way to pit lane. We'll see how it all shakes out here in just a little bit as the laps continue to wind down.
Cycling through these pit stops here. We'll see who gets the lead back. See if the 38 even can recover from this now. He's getting later and later in the run here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tough to see whether he's going to be able to or not.
Looks to be that Slade is in passing. He's just in the 14th position right now.
And it looks
9 laps to go.
Looks like right now Mopowa Celtics running a little bit further back behind the number 38 compared to where he was before these guys made their pit stops. But that's something to take note of because that means that either both of these guys made mistakes or neither of them did. And once they come out of pit lane, that should show a lot, which means that Cola might have had some problems on his stop, or he was the only one to not have problems on his stop. So a couple of things that can tell us here as we move later on into this race.
Gonna check his a lot here. We're gonna see what happens.
Absolutely. Trying to look to see where the 20 runs on the racetrack right now in comparison to the rest of this group. And from the looks of it, he's already on the front stretch. He's running far and away ahead of Slade and the number 38 machine. Impressive.
20 car trying to keep that gap there, keep the 38 out of the equation. He wants between him and the 77, and that pit stop might have helped him a little bit get ahead of that 77.
It might have. We'll look to see here at Cola Motorsports. We saw him being very competitive in the last couple of weeks on regular speedways, and now he is showing that he can compete on the road courses too. The man is doing everything he can right now to pull away from the number 38 of Slade by as much time as possible as Jose lets him by in the middle of the corner. Do you think the 20 might have a shot here to be able to snag the win away from the 77 of Max Boost?
I think he might. I started to see it that you got that momentum. He's got 2 weeks. He got 2 wins in a row right now. He's carrying momentum right now. Looking for the hat trick.
I like it. I like how you think, my man. Max Boost coming off of pit lane now, actually making his way back out onto the racing surface, and it looks like there's no one that he was running with previously that's still sitting with him. In fact, the number 20 of Cola Motorsports is just now coming out of corner number 1 as Max Boost is making his way out of the S's. So what a gap that this made between all of these drivers that were battling for the lead beforehand, and it looks like Max Boost was able to get the best of them.
It looks like he did. He definitely played the strategy call right.
And if my calculations are correct, we are currently sitting on lap number 42 for the number 77 who runs out front. If he was able to conserve enough on that run by himself, he might have enough to not have taken tires on his pit stop. It's just barely, but that 23 laps is exactly what we ran on tires, and that's exactly what we ran in this last green flag run if we don't see another caution. So he might have taken that into account and been able to have run all 23 laps on that left front tire without causing it to blow, which would be amazing in its own right.
I think he could have. I mean, Max Boost here we're talking about. He knows what he's doing here. The strategy call he made has gotten that big lead, and I think it's getting bigger now. And 20 car losing sight on that win now.
And it's unfortunate to see because we were seeing Cola coming back from a wreck early on in the race. He had the problems with Max Boost in the middle of the race, getting into the rear end and having all that damage. But it looks like, unfortunately, his chance for a three-peat on the wins column this year is going to come up short. At least for now, he'll have a lot of chances as the year continues to move along to win a bunch more races.
21 got sideways coming out of turn 1 there, spun into the wall. Getting back up to speed though.
It looks like Jocko is on pit road in the number 22 Pennzoil machine for his last stop of the day. He might have been running in the lead there for a minute before he made his way off or onto pit road, and now it looks like Max Boost is going to take the lead back away as he heads down into that high banked corner number 1.
Max Boost got the speed.
Indeed, I'm going to have to ask him about that setup in post-race because he did something that I probably never would have expected under that car, and I know it. There's no way that a guy can just have this much consistent speed at a track like this without seeing any sort of fall-off. It's almost amazing.
It's very amazing. Kind of makes me jealous a little bit, but man does what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He's got it down to a T.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to note for Max Boost this year in that number 77 machine, and not trying to take anything away from him, he's been very impressive all year, but both of his wins this year, if he does win this race, come from races that Fluffy in the number 17 machine has not been in. As we know, Fluffy did not make this race, and so is he winning these races outright, or is he winning them as a result of Fluffy not being here for these races?
I'm not going to base it off of one guy. I think he has the skill. I think Fluffy just happens to not be in those races. I think, the coins, the stars, everything just line up properly. But I don't know. I don't think it's... We just have to put a test. We have to see him actually win it with Fluffy in a race at this point to answer that question. But no, I don't believe that. I think he could have won these races with or without Fluffy in those races.
Alright, very interesting to see. We saw in week 1 at Auto Club, Max Boost almost able to score a victory Fluffy, the only man standing between the 77 and the checkered flag. And then at Dover, Max Boost took the victory after Fluffy dominated early because of Fluffy's disconnect from the race. So very interesting to see what's going to happen the first time these guys get to meet again and race for a win since Auto Club. But right now it looks like Max Boost showing the way here at Watkins Glen with just a few laps remaining here in the Big Apple 175.
Cruising to victory right now. Banking a caution doesn't come out.
Absolutely, especially with a couple of these guys just now making their last stops, including Jose in the 78 that you guys just saw on pit lane. Could definitely be very tough for him to be able to make it out of here without another caution, possibly taking away any chance he has of victory, which right now seems almost assured.
Everybody's trying to get as many positions as they can now.
I just saw a great pass on board, and unfortunately wasn't able to catch it on camera between the number 8 and the number 2. I believe that's MTO, as well as the number 8 of Titans. Those guys going at it with one another, and also the 48 and the 88 right now. Runner and Celtics both going at it on the backstretch as they head into the bus stop.
It's just getting down to the end here.
It looks like just a few laps remaining here at Watkins Glen as these guys in the rear of the field trying to scrounge up positions. As we see some of these guys having some issues going through the bus stop once again. The 21 of that man, Perky, showed so much promise a couple of weeks ago at Atlanta, and then last week almost dudded. He had a very tough week, and now this week it looks like he's losing even more momentum on what was a strong start to the season. I'm expecting a rebound from him, but it'll be interesting to see whether he's going to be able to get that done or not.
Everybody's trying to make it through these last couple laps, get as many positions as they can, racing hard, fighting hard.
Absolutely, and unfortunately they're also losing a lot of time as they do, possibly letting other guys get involved in what was normally just going to be a regular battle between the two, but
Yes, sir.
that could play a very big role in the last couple laps here. We saw the number 2 and the number 8 battling. I mentioned it before. They're at it once again as they make their way through the S's. But a bad corner one by the number 8 of Titans means that he might be falling back from that Miller Lite machine.
77 does it.
And it looks like it, indeed. The number 77 machine crosses the start-finish line here at Watkins Glen, able to take home the victory. What a job it was for him to be able to score yet another win on the season. Great on him as these other guys make their way out of turn 4 to finish off the race for themselves. Oh, and it looks like we have a wreck getting towards the start-finish line between DK Brown and the number 18. Here comes Big Destroyer to try and get by those guys and clean it up. The number 1 machine, the Monster Energy Chevy Camaro, also involved in that one. I believe that's Bags. Those guys losing valuable points as they make their way down towards the start-finish line. Everyone else already crossing the start-finish line here. Here comes K-Tatty Giggity in the 37. I believe rounding up the field here along with a couple of others, including McLovin Racing, across the start-finish line and take home the victory and all of their points for the rest of the race. A great job by everyone here today. And in just a minute, once everyone joins in on the party, we get some post-race interviews with your top 3 finishers in tonight's race. Max Boost, your winner. Second place position finisher, Mike RPM 44. And the third place driver in tonight's race, Cola Motorsports in the number 20. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here in the post-race with your top three finishers in tonight's event. Cola Motorsports finished third in the number 20 machine. Second place finisher Mike RPM in the number 4. And your winner for tonight, the number 77 of Max Boost 27. I want to start with our third place finisher, Cola Motorsports. Congratulations on your wins in the last couple of weeks. You finished third here tonight. I'm going to have Koala go first with his questions that he's got for you, and then I'll come right in after.
Alright, Cola. Well, first things first, congratulations on the third place finish. You had a nice car, great car, actually. How did you maintain the speed on the long run? You seem to be closing in on the 77 at one point until those green flag pit stops hit.
Yeah, I had a really fast car. At one point, I felt like I was faster than the 77 and the 38, but I just wanted to have a clean race. Try not to ruin my race, trying to get aggressive and go for the spots.
Right.
Just trying to keep it clean and going forward. That's about all I was focused on.
Well, it looked like you did, man. You brought it home in third. Good job, my guy.
Thank you.
So, Cola Motorsports, winner of the last couple of weeks. I want to ask you, because this is a road course, setups are obviously built drastically differently than you'd normally see them on a 1.5 mile or a 2-mile track or something like that. What did you do differently on that custom setup of yours tonight to help you get such good speed here at Watkins Glen?
Well, the ovals, you really don't want to run that loose of a car, but these road courses, you don't want to be tight or you ain't going to be able to get off the corner. I ran a little bit looser, just tried to hold on to it, Every now and then it'd get a little wiggly on me, but, we'd keep it straight and we would try to go for the win.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. Congrats on the third place finish. You're doing very well in the point standings this year as well, so it'll be interesting to see how that culminates for you with your 2 wins already. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a great night, my man.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
All right, on to our second place finisher tonight and what must have been the most crisp paint scheme on the entire racetrack tonight. That number 4 bright red Bud Light apple scheme. Congrats on your second place finish tonight, Mike. Koala, go first with all your questions.
Alright, first off, good job, my man. Finished the second, great rebound from last week, actually. Coming in second place here, you didn't show much up front. You kind of pulled a little strategy card and got up front, and you were actually able to hold on up front for a long time. Did you absolutely need to do that strategy to get up there, or did you have the car to get up front?
Yeah, first of all, y'all got me? Copy?
Yes, sir, we got you loud and clear.
Alright, cool. Yeah, that strategy, we had to do that. I knew that we were probably like a top 6 car the whole race. We hit the bump, we hit the glitch in the bus stop, and it flipped my car on like lap 5. And so we didn't get any stage points. We got put in the back, and then I got wrecked back there again. And I knew that I wasn't as fast as Max or Cola or any of them guys, but I knew that if we got back up there, we would be able to hold our own and keep the pace. And the way the cautions worked out there, that was the strategy. And then at the end, it was, some guys took 4, and then some took none. And me and Max decided to take none. I believe Max did. But he was so far clean, and I knew he was faster. So the name of the game there at the end was just not making mistakes and getting a P2 out of it after losing stage points. So, yeah, that's about it, though. It was a wild race.
Well, heck yeah, man. Good job. You got that good second place finish right there. Good points today. You have a great rest of the evening, my man.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
I got nothing more for Mike RPM. Literally, Koala asked absolutely everything that I was going to ask about. So, yeah, once again, congrats on the second place finish. Great rebound, and we'll see you next week. And now on to the winner for the second time this season in the number 77 Advent Health Chevy Camaro, Max Boost 27. Congratulations on the win. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Thank you, guys. Feeling pretty good. That was a really fun race. Had to do a little strategy at the end because I didn't know how it was going to shake out with guys saving fuel and pitting before us. So I went ahead and did fuel only, and it worked out.
All right, Koala, what do you got for our race winner tonight?
Yeah. In all honesty, what setup? Like, what did you do? Like, you maintained some speed the entire run, man. Like, I've never seen anything like that. You did. I need answers, even though I know you're not gonna give me the answers, obviously, to that. But no, I don't have anything else for you, man. Just congratulations on your win. You look very stellar, actually, out there. And I mean, I actually do have one question. How was it battling with the 20 and the 38 Slate at one point in time before y'all all got separated?
Oh man, that was a lot of fun. I've raced with Slade for 2 years now. He's a quality racer all around, so I knew that I could go side by side through the bus stop with him and not bang fenders or anything. And that was actually a ton of fun, and I hope it looked good on stream. But we raced really close, really aggressive. Once he got out front, I couldn't really hit my marks because his car was distracting me. So I was like, okay, I'll just hang out at like 90% and just wait for my opportunity. And then it came, and I made a little bit mistake. I thought he was going to jump on my inside going to the last turn, and I kind of messed it up and fenced it a little bit. But we got that back. But yeah, the car was solid. Name of the game was not make any mistakes. Just have a nice, simple, and clean race, and just take it easy. Don't wreck the car. Be there when you need to be there. So I mean, it worked out. It was just a lot of fun.
Well, heck yeah, man. Good job again on your win, and carry this momentum on to next week.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Max, I got one question for you. You went about 22 to 23 laps, if I'm not mistaken, on that last green flag run, and you never had to take tires at all. What did you do that allowed you to be able to make it that entire way without having to take any tires on that last run?
I built this car over the last couple of weeks just for fun because I really enjoy Watkins Glen. It's one of my favorite tracks. And so I noticed that I was getting really good tire wear if I just took it easy, just 90%. And the tires, I still had 50% with like 7 to go. So I was like, all right, you know what? Fuel only. Let's get out ahead of everybody. And I know I can maintain on old tires. And I mean, I think I ended the race still with like 30% on the tires. I just taking it easy. Don't scrub the tires in the turns. Don't overturn the wheel. Just keep a real nice balance. And I mean, that's the mindset I went in with, and it actually worked out really well.
Man, that is extremely impressive. Congratulations. I had in my pre-race notes whenever I was running my test session with my custom setup that you could only go about 23 laps on that left front tire before it blew. It sounds like you could have made it about 33 laps before that thing blew. That is impressive. Congratulations once again, my man, on the win tonight. You got 2 wins on the season. Not only are you now celebrating a playoff spot, but possibly even the points lead after this week. So great job tonight, my man, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys for everything you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Alright, so, Koala, I know we had a very exciting race here tonight at Watkins Glen, at least as much excitement as you can have for a road course. What are some of the things that you take away from this race that you weren't exactly seeing coming into the night?
Side by side, I mean, they did a lot better than I expected, especially with the front three that pulled away and the battle they put on. They were battling left and right. No issues. No one's getting into each other. They had little issues that they had themselves, and I was very impressed. I was firmly impressed with a lot of guys today.
Alright, you love to hear it. My biggest storyline of the night probably had to be that Slade had such a great car for the majority of the night. He ended up finishing 4th in tonight's event, had a very strong showing, and he's been good all season long, very consistent, but hasn't necessarily had some of the results to show for it, but finally tonight, able to break through. I really like the momentum that he added on in tonight's race, and hopefully he can carry that into next week's race as well. And we also have him in the booth, the league commish, one of the guys helping run everything, and also running in the number 38 machine full-time in his Ford Mustang. How are you doing tonight, Slade?
Very good. Very happy with how that race went from an owner standpoint. Only 2 cautions, and since we did manuals, it was a very easy process. So, very good road course race, I say, for the Pocono Raceway Cup Series. All the drivers tonight. Max, fantastic job driving. Cola did a fantastic job. There are some issues mid-pack, back to pack with guys having some issues in the bus stop, and even from my perspective, I had a few myself, and there was no issues caused just because I was by myself with maybe two other cars. So, but overall, very good race by the league today. Very happy with how it went, and a great way to close off the first road course week of the season.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more myself. You got anything else for the broadcast tonight, Koala, before we sign off?
Nothing else to say, my man. It's fun. It's a great time. You guys put on the hell with the heck of the show. Can't wait for next week.
That's absolutely going to be a ton of fun. And one more thing real quick, Slade. Where are we racing next week?
We're at Daytona International Speedway, so that should be a fun one.
All right, we're going to get some plate racing action next week at the 2.5 mile historic venue here in the Pocono Raceway Cup Series. And with that, we say goodnight from the booth with Koala. My name is James McCombs, and we say goodnight. Have a wonderful night. Make sure you guys stay safe with the pandemic and everything going on. Make sure that you stay home as much as you can and do everything you can to stop the spread. And have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen.